For as bad of a box office as 2025 was, it's gonna carry over to 2026 as well, because you take a look at the big IMAX releases. They normally get, you get preferential screenings for the bigger films that are out there, and you take a look later in the year. Obviously, you got Mandalorian and Grogu, you got Mortal Kombat, which should already be out and it should already be succeeding, but whatever, I'm not bitter about that. Avengers Doomsday, Dune Part 3. I didn't realize that Avengers Doomsday and Dune Part 3 actually come out on the same day, which is interesting. So we're gonna have Doomsday. Oh my god, I already want to put a gun in my... Anyways, but the first big film to come out in 2026 doesn't come out until the third day of the fourth month. Bro, like, okay, it's gonna be another, well, to just borrow a phrase from a former corpse in chief, it's gonna be a winter of death. Like, holy shit, Mercy, The Bride. I know some people are looking forward to Project Hail Mary, but for normies, myself included, I don't know what the fuck that is. There were also people, like if we're using the same time frame for early 2026 that we are for 2025, a lot of people were also looking forward to Mickey 17. Exactly. I gotta think, right, like to be the eternal optimist, that Project Hail Mary has gotta be better than Mickey 17, right? But yes, the first big film, and the one that's probably going to make $1 billion. Okay, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, the first one comfortably made over $1 billion and ended up being the second highest grossing film of 2023 until it was supplanted by Barbie, which, interesting, right? The Super Mario Galaxy movie comes out before we even hear hide nor hair of a second Barbie film, but that's what happens when you get a franchise and a movie run by Japanese dudes and you leave the other planning the whims of women. Greta Gerwig in particular, whose Narnia film is going to be coming out November 26th. I can't wait for gender swapped Aslan. It's not like I'm a big fan of Chronicles of Narnia or anything like that. No, of course not. I'm not pissed off about that. But we got some news. Okay, we actually got a trailer earlier this week as well as some other casting news for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which right now I'm going to say is going to make $1 billion because, guys, I'm going to state some obvious stuff right here. The Super Mario Brothers is very popular. The first Super Mario Brothers movie was quite well received. It's coming out at a point in time where not a lot else is going to be happening as well. And Galaxy as a sub franchise, is that the best way to characterize it or categorize it? I'm just going to do that anyways. A sub-franchise within a greater franchise is wildly popular in and of itself. So yes, for all of those and many other reasons, this is going to be $1 billion film in a year that is likely to produce... God damn it, man. Just looking at those lists right there, like, yeah, probably Avengers Doomsday, just simply for the sheer fact that this is going to be as fucking crazy as hell. It's going to be a key-jangling car crash extravaganza. Dune Part 3, like the other two Dunes, didn't really perform all that well. Street Fighter, oh my god, I had such hope for that, but it's going to be a fucking mess. The Odyssey, I mean, that one's going to be interesting, man. I really want to see more about that. Oh, live action Moana, that'll get there. Minions will be real close, but Supergirl, don't make me fucking laugh. But yeah, next year's probably going to be, very uneven for Disney. Very uneven. It's going to look probably not too dissimilar to 2023, where they had some absolute bangers at the box office, but also Ant-Man and the Wasp, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and funny enough, The Marvels, which dovetails nicely. I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back for that one because I didn't even intend to make that transition, but here we are because Brie Larson, Captain Marvel herself, has been cast as Rosalina. Interesting, right? Because when the first Super Mario Brothers movie came out and we got the roll call of the new cast, Charles Martinet was not going to be the voice of Mario. It was going to be Chris Pratt. Another highly controversial, if I want to just go ahead and tap into the previous video on the day about Sydney Sweeney being the new pariah of Hollywood for just simply not wanting to wade into left-wing politics. Chris Pratt has done the same thing, and he still gets labeled as controversial because every once in a while he says a couple of religious things, and he also said prayers for Charlie Kirk. But Chris Pratt is a movie star. He has multiple billion-dollar films, billion-dollar franchises under his belt, and yeah, he's the voice of Mario. And he apparently did a pretty good job in the original. Charlie Day as Luigi. I don't think anybody's put off by that. Jack Black as Bowser made people roll their eyes because, fucking Christ, another Jack Black casting, but did a very good job as Bowser. Now, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I wish they'd recast that, but, tomato, tomato. They can't all be bangers, but Brie Larson as the voice of Rosalina, somebody who is so important to the overall story of Galaxy. I mean, if we're going on reputation, if we're going on star power, not the best thing that you can do. But when it comes to an actor, I mean, you could do a hell of a lot worse than Brie Larson. She is quite good when it comes to this stuff. And in recent years, she has definitely positioned herself, and she has moved herself away from some of her more, for lack of a better term, toxic behaviors, and has comported herself nicely as just a formerly overtly political actor trying to make their way in the world. Kind of a more authentic Jennifer Lawrence, which is interesting, right? Because we talked about this same time last week, how she's out there trying to, go on the redemption tour about, actors talking about politics, it doesn't really move the needle. It's like, yeah, we've known that for a long time. Thanks for finally catching up, stupid. But somebody who I think is a little bit more authentic about it, Billy Bob Thornton, was also echoing similar sentiments on Joe Rogan. But now that it's become painfully obvious in Hollywood that their opinions really don't matter all that much, they're trying to use that as a marketing tool. Meanwhile, I got to give kudos to Brie Larson. She was at least ahead of the curve on this one. So honestly, I see news like this and it's like, kind of makes sense, right? She's going to be playing a significant but not lead role in a big ensemble film that is very obviously and very easily going to clear hundreds of millions of dollars, be amongst the top 10, probably top 5 highest grossing films of 2026. Makes all the sense in the world, right? So yeah, as Brie Larson cast as Rosalina in Super Mario Galaxy movie, Nintendo takes a big risk after the Marvels collapse. I mean, it's a voice actor, okay? Like, if anybody was really put off by Seth Rogen, it didn't really manifest at the box office. Same with Jack Black. I mean, if she's right for the role, she's right for the role. Nintendo's next big animated adventure, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, I just always want to put brothers there because I'm kind of old school when it comes to that, is officially adding controversial Marvel actress Brie Larson as Princess Rosalina, and the internet is already bracing for impact. Oh yes, one person in particular, you know by the title, but we haven't quite gotten there, okay? We're still in story mode. We're not trying to do any spoilers quite yet. The announcement came during the Nintendo Direct, where a Captain Marvel actress was revealed as the voice of the Galactic Guardian, alongside Oppenheimer actor Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr. Well, that's a pretty good pick. Okay, I'm not mad at that. The film, directed by Chris Meledandri, okay, and produced by Shigeru Miyamoto, who is stepping away from from Mario game development, which is, it's kind of sad because, okay, like, there's a lot of people retiring and stepping away from their chosen vocations, but to see Miyamoto step back from Mario, it's like, oh yeah. Yeah, I guess we're getting to that time, huh? But anyways, it's set to hit theaters April 3rd, 2026. On the surface, Mario Galaxy film sounds like another home run for the billion-dollar Mario franchise. After all, the 2023 Super Mario Bros. Movie made one of its biggest animated hits of all time, grossing over $1.3 billion worldwide. But not everybody is cheering this latest casting announcement, specifically Grace Randolph. Here we are again. Like, I never thought that this would happen. Like, okay, it's always funny to check in and see what Grace Randolph is doing, but for her to provide content for not just one video on the day, or not just one video this week, but for 2 of them, and for her to have equally silly predictions and takes, it's like, this is why people tune into Grace Randolph. You legitimately never know what the fuck you're gonna get. Like, when it comes to certain sites, certain personalities, you know that they're just gonna suck off the corporation. And Grace, well, she's very, very, very guilty of doing that, but every once in a while, she will just drop. Like, if she's out there just throwing dick-sucking 90-mile-an-hour fastballs right down the middle, every once in a while, she'll just drop like a 68-mile-an-hour curveball right at your toes, and you'll fucking try to swing at that bitch and just screw yourself into the ground, because she goes out here and instead of doing a Beyond the Trailer take, she goes out here and does a fucking anti-Gamergate take. If anything can tank a new Super Mario Brothers movie, it's Brie Larson. What? This, okay, like, this coming from, certain subsects of the internet, I can totally understand. But from Grace Randolph, like, she's still butthurt that her original take on Super Mario Brothers, like, her video's up there, and it is a fucking hilarious. Shout out to EFAP for going through on it. But her review of that, from Mario was stripped from his dignity when he had to put on the catsuit, and the only reason that the catsuit was in there is because Asians love furries. That's a Grace Randolph take, and that's a reason why people tune into her, because you never know what the fuck you're gonna get. But then also saying that this movie was gonna have bad word of mouth, and it was gonna absolutely flop at the box office. She's still big mad about that, and that's why she's taking it out on this movie. I gotta believe on this one. But yeah, this isn't, she wasn't content just simply letting sleeping dogs lie on this one. She decided to double down. Hate channels are the skirt splurge on entertainment and the industry. But this idea that we therefore can't say anything negative when there's plenty of evidence to back it up is insane. Wait a minute. Okay, hate channels. Are you ever going to quantify them? Absolutely not. But then you go out there and saying, oh yeah, but when there's negative stuff and you point it out, it's like, hey, maybe you need to go ahead and reassess your opinion and maybe your categorization as to what exactly a hate channel is. But I digress. Moving along. I just spent all last week defending Elle Fanning in Predator, on really stupid grounds, and got a ton of hate for defending Barbie. Well, no, okay, a lot of people defended Barbie. I can't remember specifically what your take was. It was probably very silly, but probably not as silly as Starro needs to kill more people in in James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, and also John Cena's tidy whities were going to be screenshotted and his bulge was going to be shared across social media, hence why Warner Brothers decided to release it day and date on streaming. She's a strange lady. Okay, will Super Mario 2 be a huge success? Almost certainly. Well, yeah, 1000% it's going to be. It's Super Mario. The first one did gangbusters, and this one's going to be about Galaxy. I just really hope they decide to have a plot this time around. But Brie Larson has a history of making comments on press tours, a long time ago. Okay, more recently, she's just been kind of caught wide-eyed when asked about her opinion on anything from the Johnny Depp situation, where it's like, does anybody want to hear about me, okay, doing that type of stuff? Or asked about her return as Captain Marvel, does anybody even want me back on that one? To, I forget, it slips the mind, but she also had a very mundane take when an interviewer was trying to get her on something, but yes, that are not helpful and turn off audiences. She was also a big part of reimagining the Marvels, a film which I gave a good review. Oh, it was a bad movie, okay, Grace, but again, I'm not shocked that you thought that that the Marvels was a good film, but that the sequel ruined a billion-dollar character. Well, the only reason it was a billion-dollar character is because of its placement during the third phase of the MCU, and that they could literally do no wrong during that point in time. But yeah, man, Brie Larson being goofy on the interview circuit, yeah, she did that. She did that in the context of Captain Marvel, and then after she got all of that undue success from Captain Marvel, she went out there and was making stupid claims like, A Wrinkle in Time wasn't made for a 40-year-old white dude, so he shouldn't be reviewing it. Yelling from the rooftops about the Orange Man being bad, and just, taking all of the publicly acceptable positions of a Hollywood starlet. But yes, this is the best way for her to theoretically come back. I don't know what she's been doing since the Marvels, but she's been awfully quiet when it comes to big budget films, that is. So yeah, going to be playing a character in a very successful movie. We'll have to see the way that she comports herself moving forward. I would imagine it would be fairly non-confrontational. She might slip up and say something goofy because she's kind of an awkward person. But is she going to tank this film? Absolutely not. But is Grace Randolph going to have an absolutely bonkers take on the Mario Galaxy movie? You bet your bottom dollar on that. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.